The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
Pollard streaks in. Touchdown. Parsons has sacked it. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
And now your hosts, Isaiah Stanback, Nick Harris, John Machota, and Kyle Yeomans.
It's a Talkin' Tuesday edition of Talkin' Cowboys presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company as we welcome you into the SWBC studios at the Star in Frisco alongside John Machota, Nick Harris, Isaiah Stanback. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Glad you're with us, everybody. It is a Talkin' Tuesday. We are taking your phone calls, 888-855-2297. We're also going to answer some text messages, 817-290-3298. There's a lot to get to. And first, I want to hear John's thoughts on the Cowboys' 43-20 win over the Rams. Got it done. Got the 40-burger taken care of. Really put it away early, up 33-3 at one point. John, what were your thoughts?
Well, defensively, I felt like this is going to be a great chance to put a lot of pressure on a quarterback who's just not that mobile in Matthew Stafford. And the other thing that factored in with me is I just felt like Micah Parsons coming off of a bye, there's not going to be any nagging injuries or anything. He's going to be full bore, ready to go, hungry. I just thought that he would cause a lot of problems, and eventually they knocked Matthew Stafford out of the game, and at that point you knew that there was no chance for the Rams. But even before that, I mean, they looked like, 3-4 other games have looked this season for the Cowboys where when you watch them, and if you just watch that one game, you're like, oh, yeah, no, this team's a contender. Absolutely. I mean, that's the type of stuff that a really good team does on all three, offense, defense, special teams. And then I really like that Dak and CD have built since that Niners game on their rapport together. Because let's be honest, I mean, we can sit here and talk, and we'll talk about it a ton over the next few weeks about how to get this running game going. Like, are they adding players that I don't know about? No, to get the offense going. I mean, you can want to run the ball.
Yeah,
that sounds great, and that's the plan. We're going to run the ball. But when you can't run the ball, you're not just going to keep running the ball. And so it was good to see Dak and CD be on the same page a second consecutive week, because I didn't think it would go south. I'm not saying that it would. But things were a little ugly after that Niners game. Mm-hmm. That's the most frustrated I've ever seen CD Lamb on the sideline. That's the most frustrated I've ever seen him in the locker room after the game. I know a lot of people listening can sit there and just say, yeah, but that's a lot of wide receiver one, stuff like that. That's not really been the case with CD and Dak. So there was a little bit of a point after that game where I was like, I'm interested to see where this goes from here. And obviously where it's gone from there is they've both elevated their game. And so, yeah, no, I mean, it was an impressive win. I felt like they would beat the Rams. It would have been kind of a little bit of a panic if they didn't, just because of what's left on that Rams defense. But no, it was an all-around good game. That's exactly the type of game you want going into this Eagles game.
I think yesterday we gave Dak Prescott a smelly sticker. We gave John Fossil a smelly sticker. CeeDee Lamb a smelly sticker. So where would you throw your smelly sticker?
So you're not going to mention yourself?
No, I didn't get one. I mean, I got one. Oh, no, you're right. I forgot about the sunglasses on the back. Yeah. I got a smelly sticker as well because I predicted a 40-burger.
So. You predicted 40-burger, so you got one.
I got a smelly sticker.
Fossil,
Dak, and CD.
Mm-hmm. I got to go Deron Bland.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to say that there's luck involved, but there's got to have some good fortune to have multiple pick sixes, I believe. There's so many good players in the NFL. How many get multiple pick sixes in the same season, let alone in a career? So
3 of them things.
So for that, asking Mike McCarthy about it yesterday, I did like that he pointed out the fact that their youth factors in too, because you also need the quarterback to want to test that player. Mm-hmm. It's not like Deron Bland is the only player capable of getting multiple pick sixes, but I'm just wondering where it gets to a point where they just are like, no, we're not going to keep doing that anymore.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see this week if he can build on it. I did think they were in good shape at that outside corner spot opposite Gilmore when Diggs went down. I did not think that Bland would play this well in that role. And as long as he's healthy and Gilmore's healthy and Jordan Lewis is healthy, you have to feel good about that cornerback group. It's if one of them get hurt. That's
Yeah.
where you're just like, okay, now it might get kind of thin, and it could potentially look like the way it did at the end of last season, and you don't really want that.
Yeah, at that point, it's a steep drop off.
And I know there was quite a bit of concern with Jordan Lewis coming out of the Rams game, or excuse me, out of the Chargers game after he defended Keenan Allen, and Keenan Allen had a big day. But man, he was awesome on Sunday. I know we talked a little bit about it yesterday. So there should be confidence in that corner group all the way around.
7 targets, 3 receptions for Puka Nacua, 43 yards total. He had a long of 22, so most of that came on 1 reception. But then Cooper Kupp, 10 targets. He had just 4 catches for 21 yards. His longest grab was 9 yards. I mean, they shut those guys down. That's pure and simple. That's what it was. Henderson and Higbee had more receiving yards than Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. Tutu Atwell had 21 yards too. So, I mean, those big-time weapons, Isaiah, you talked about it. They were going to be a challenge, and the Cowboys secondary stepped up to the challenge.
Yeah, they did. I mean, they already were doing relatively well, only averaging, 177 yards per game allowed against them in the air, and they came out there and won up that seemingly. I think they gave up more than that overall, but it came in garbage time, and they shut down the primary 2 receivers. I mean, that was one of the best 2-headed monsters going into that game in the whole NFL. You know, regardless of whether people want to believe that or not, statistically, those 2 were kind of terrorizing the NFL. Puka Nacua held it down while Cooper Kupp was gone. Cooper Kupp came back, started figuring things out, and then they ran it to Dallas, and Dallas shut him down. Dan Quinn shut him down, and it was just great execution.
If you got great ball skills, I think that you would really like to play against Matthew Stafford, because yes, he can make you look bad, but he's also going to give you opportunities. Like, he's going to attempt throws that a lot of other quarterbacks are not. And so I feel like from a guy like a Deron Bland, who has shown that he has an ability to take the ball away, that has to be a matchup that he likes, even though he probably wouldn't want to sit there and say that, especially not before a game. But yeah, you can get beat. There was a throw coming across the field that Stafford hit to Nacua that you're just like, I don't care who's guarding him. Like, that's just a filthy throw. But then there's the one where he's throwing across the field to Kupp, and Bland jumped it. So
I think we can just expect this to happen from here on out, right? I mean, you could expect an A.J. Brown to have 43 yards on Sunday. You got Devontae
Right.
Smith, 3 receptions on 10 targets for 21 yards. That's what we've got from here on out, correct? I mean, that's what I see anyways.
At least you said it, not me.
Jerry Jones spoke today on 105.3 The Fan. He spoke on a number of things. CeeDee Lamb's contract, because of his 2 big games. He spoke on today's impending trade deadline. 3 p.m. Central Time is when the trade deadline hits here on Halloween. Happy Halloween, everybody, by the way. But there were a number of things that he hit along the way. Outside of that, any news and notes, Nick Harris, sorry. Wow. I was looking down at Nick Eatman on this sheet. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Anyway,
it's right here.
on the hit on the fan this morning,
I called you Kyle, so.
And your mic's muted too, by the way.
The knee.
Oh,
knee
strike
got
1
him.
for John.
Yeah, John finally got hit.
John finally gets a strike.
That's unfortunate. He had gone all year without it.
He did. Talking about the trades first.
I'm back.
It's most of the same talk from Jerry Jones today regarding any moves that they're going to make at the deadline. He said it's looking more likely that they stand pat. So he's telling us not to expect anything today, but I'm always going to have that radar on until about 3 o'clock, or more realistically, like 3:45, once all of the final hour deals get finalized and everything. So,
what is your gauge? We've been checking this gauge, I feel like, every step along the way. It's like a tire pressure. Just keeps checking it whenever the weather starts getting cold again. But now that we're here and the trade deadline is today, do you think any deal gets done whatsoever?
Yeah, what did I say last week? Like 10%? I think I'm like that'd put me at like 2%, I guess.
You're at like a 2?
Yeah.
Any deal whatsoever?
Yeah.
You think it's done?
Yeah.
Isaiah?
I think I was at, a 40%?
Yeah.
You were high. I do remember.
I was higher. I think I said like 60.
Yeah.
And I think I'm down to like a 8.
Wow.
Talking about any trades at all?
Any whatsoever. You saw the Eagles do like a little maneuver trade yesterday.
Wait, the whole league, or
no,
just the
Cowboys
Cowboys
specifically?
Oh, because there's going to be moves today.
Yeah, Yeah, teams will make moves.
Oh yeah, there will be teams that make moves.
Might be
now.
a certain receiver that played on Monday Night Football that might be moved today.
That would be wild.
He's gone.
You know what's hilarious about just like sports news is the fact that today is the NFL trade deadline, and James Harden has been trying to get traded for months.
Finally.
And then it finally happens on the day the NFL trade deadline hits.
Yeah, and that's going to put the Clippers over the top. I mean, just give them the trophy.
Please.
Breaking news, like
Fifth seed
people
in the West.
care about this
go.
still? Like, what is
Yeah.
this move doing? What is it? I don't.
Fifth seed in the West. Like, they're secured now.
They'll trade
Got
for
it.
the-
If James Harden got traded to your favorite team, do you think that's putting you over the top?
Absolutely not.
Oh my lord, the way that is treated like it's 7 years ago. I'm just like, okay.
He's going to play in his 23 games, and he's going to be great in those 20 of those 23 games. That's what's going to happen. Back to NFL talk. Isaiah, what do you think about the trade deadline?
Yeah, I was at. I mean, my disappointment continues.
Yeah.
You know, I was at 40% because I was like, they're going to keep that energy.
They're going to do something.
Right? They're going to keep that energy that they stepped into this offseason with, and they very well still might. But I'm losing hope, Kyle. I'm losing hope, and you know, I'm not sitting here disagreeing with Mr. Double J that this team has enough to go out there and make it happen. I think they do. I think most teams in this NFL, you know, I'll say at least the top half of the teams have a chance, right, with their rosters. They can make things happen. Schemes, matchups, all those things come into play. Execution. But like just it's like the game of quarters at the arcade. You guys ever played a game at the arcade where the quarters are just sitting there on the edge and you just drop it in and it has a little slider that keeps
It's
coming?
supposed to push them off the edge.
Push it off the edge.
It's
Just
very deceiving,
Just
though.
like get a whole pocket full of quarters and just put them in the machine, right? And just knock it over the edge. Like just make that one or two other moves.
That tower's sitting there. You
that's-
get the tower of
You
quarters.
got the whole bank just sitting right there, like you're about to get paid. You know what I'm saying? And like you're like, nah, I'm just gonna put one in there.
I have
Let's see if it works.
I have a very bad memory from my childhood messing with one of those at like a gas station in East Texas.
Did you ever bump it?
Yeah. Oh man, I tried to like tackle this thing at
You
like
thief.
6 years old. Yeah, it was just.
You see, I just got him to snitch on himself.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure, 1,000%.
How dare you.
1,000%. Yeah, it didn't end up working. I just went home
Oh,
broke.
that sucks.
Yeah, I think those coins though are draft picks
Yeah,
in this case.
Dude,
That's why
yeah,
I'm-
but like you know, like so, I'm at about 1.5% that anything will happen. And I'm at about 0.02% that a big splash will happen, and it's just like you're frustrated. You know, I'm a native of Seattle, Washington, and seeing Seattle pull that move, that was major.
Yeah.
That was major. That was Schneider going back in his bag and saying, look, we haven't been this close in a few years, so let's go out here and grab Frank Clark, and then a week later, let's go out here and make this trade for Leonard Williams.
Yeah.
Let's our D line's already doing relatively good. Let's tip the scale. Let's just screw it. You know what I'm saying?
do it.
Let's do it. Yeah. So draft picks, second and a fifth. So what? Like that's the future. We're playing for now.
Yeah.
And they did it. He knows what that feels like because he has a ring on his finger that from the last 10 years. You know, so he wants that thing back. He wants that old thing back. So he's trying to do whatever he can. And we see Philly. You know, Philly, they have that thing sitting on their hands, and they know what that feels like. They know what it looks like. With the fresh diamonds is new and it's not tarnished, and they don't have to worry about cleaning it. It's in a brand new box, and they can take it out of their safe and not have to blow the dust off. Like they know what that's like, so they want it again. So guess what they do? They make moves that give them opportunity to go out there and do it. Not to say that your roster isn't already enough, but why not just push the extra little quarter over the edge and get all the money?
All the quarters.
They probably didn't believe that their roster is enough, though.
Who's that?
The Seahawks. That's why they did that move.
But the
You never
Eagles
know if
making
they
the
have-
Bayard trade.
I'm not saying that the Cowboys shouldn't, but I'm just saying that it's pretty clear with them making that move. They didn't feel like they had enough to. They probably felt like they had enough to maybe beat the Lions, but I bet you they didn't feel like they had enough to go beat the Eagles, Niners, Cowboys.
I'm of the belief that the conversations have been had. That there
I
have
don't
been
disagree.
phone calls.
Oh.
There have been conversations.
I would hope so.
That's how it goes.
There shouldn't be
there
a
are
player.
There are a lot of Cowboys fans out there that probably think that there hasn't been any
No, I don't
conversations.
believe
There
that.
have been conversations.
I just don't want to wait until, the moment where everybody is calling. You know what I mean? Like, don't wait till everybody's calling. And I know there's some strategy to that. Like, hey, put their back up against the wall. You know, if these phone calls are taking place, I got their back up against the wall now. Like, if they're gonna pull this move, they have to do it. I'm gonna give them a fourth instead of a second. They're gonna take that. Just go. I'm one of the people that goes the road less traveled. Like, I'm gonna hit you up when nobody's calling you. Like when everybody's like, oh, it's a week out. we're good. You know,
So-
not when everybody's blowing your phone up. Like, okay, hold on, I'm gonna get you in a second. Let me get you in a second. Hold on, let me put you back down. Okay, like everybody's calling for that man on our TV right now, Mr. 17, who played last night. Everybody, not saying that Dallas is not in the market for him, but there's 1,000 teams calling for him right now. Everybody's calling for him.
And maybe they've kicked the tires on that too. But the only thing I'll say, though, is that when you use yourself as an example, you know, we don't know your reputation. I feel like sometimes Jerry's reputation probably hurts him. I mean, I feel like across the league,
I agree.
we don't have to go back 20, 30 years. I bet you across the league, there's a lot of people that are like, whoa, fourth for Trey Lance? I'll tell you somebody that felt that way. The 49ers.
Yeah.
You listen to their press conferences right after the deal was done. It was like, no, they blew us away. It was like way better than whatever. So I could see teams waiting like, no. The Cowboys offer a little bit more. No. Jerry's in a mode right now where he knows that they got a team right now. No. It's got to be a little bit more. We can get a little bit more out of them. I wonder. I don't have this. This isn't 100% fact. I don't talk to all other 31 teams, but I always wonder how much that factors in. And after they did the Lance deal, it made me really think about that. The whole like, hey, we're on the phone right now.
The reputation
Give you a
of
4
it.
right now. Let's do this. Let's get this done. You know.
I think there's elements to that, and reputation precedes. I mean, that's especially whenever you are Jerry Jones. I mean, he has the reputation in the NFL. We talked about being a fly on the wall yesterday and wanting to do that. I mean, open invitation, Jerry. He's a couple floors up from us right now. If you want to come on down and let us in on all the little trade secrets and what you guys have been talking about, I would love for that to happen. I will gladly vacate the host chair. You can come and run it. But I really don't see anything happening outside of the trade deadline on at 3 p.m. Central Time, just coming and going, and then it's done from there.
Speaking of the phone lines, there was a funny moment that happened on the fan this morning. There was like a beep on the other side, like from Jerry's side, and Sean and RJ on the fan, they were like, "Oh, is that someone like,
like
a
a trade
trade call
call
happening?" And so he was like, "Nah, it's something about sales."
He also called the entirety of the NFL officiating group the Little Darlings. That's what he called the entire NFL officials. He called them the Little Darlings. He doesn't feel bad for the Little Darlings because he dressed up as a blind referee one time for Halloween. They were asking about his Halloween costume.
That's
He
what
said he's
you
not going
say.
to ruffle the feathers this time.
That's what you say is like the head coach of like a U12 YMCA basketball team before you play like, you know, the team you know you're about to blow out by like 30. It's like, oh yeah, we're playing Little Darlings tomorrow, you know, like
They're wearing pink jerseys.
yeah, exactly.
Something like that.
It's like we're actually starting our 8th man at point guard.
How did that trade make you feel?
Which one?
The Giants and Seattle trade.
The Leonard Williams going to Seattle?
Correct. Genuinely, like, how did it make you feel? Like when you first saw it come across.
I mean, it was...
I said, wow, the Giants are selling?
That's exactly what my reaction was. It was a bit shocking, just the fact that the Giants are ready to get rid of a piece like that. And then once we saw it was a second and a fifth, right?
Correct.
I would do that. That was my second reaction. Was like, I would have done that for Leonard Williams. Put him in the middle of this defense. I would have done that.
That cap hit?
I also don't think the Giants would have loved to give Leonard Williams to their divisional rival.
No,
That probably would have been
Not
a
saying
different
that.
cost.
Not saying that. I guess the second point that you made, right? That you said I would have done that. I feel like majority of the trades that we've seen over the past few years, when you and I working together, we've seen them and come across. And you're like, I would have done that.
Wouldn't done that one. Yeah.
And you don't know until you shoot your shot. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't know until you shoot your shot. We don't know who initiated those phone calls, right? But I have a good inkling that it was probably John Schneider that called and was like, "Hey, I got a second and a fifth for you." And they were like, all right,
Interesting.
cool. I'm sure it didn't go down easy, but you know what I mean? Like, but he threw it out there. You know, I'm pretty sure he didn't wait for for the Giants to call and be like, "Hey, do you want our best defensive lineman? You want him? Take him." No. So that's Schneider calling and being like, "Hey, so this is going to sound crazy, but how about this?"
How do you know that though?
I know Schneider.
I don't know if I necessarily agree. Just
Yeah, I mean, I'm
because of,
just
like,
saying you don't know for sure, though.
I don't
that
know
they
for sure,
didn't
but I know
like,
Schneider.
Let me hit up Schneider right now. We got this, whatever. Let's just see what he'll do on this or whatever. I do believe Jerry. I know people don't want to hear this. I do believe Jerry that when he says that the best deals that they've had are when other people have called. Now, I'm not saying that you can't make other
believe that
calls,
one, too.
but I bet you now that's also his fault that he probably shouldn't say as much publicly as he does but I do believe that is probably a lot of truth to that. And I'm not talking about just the Cowboys and Jerry Jones. I'm saying in baseball, basketball, whatever. I bet you a lot of the best deals you get are when someone calls you because they've shown their hand. No, we're trying to move on from this guy.
I don't disagree with that, but it's like, you know, sometimes it's not going to be the best deal for you, but it's going to be the best result.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When I first started my business, I didn't get the best interest rate on a loan, But guess what? I got the loan, right? And I started a business, and now I'm 10 years down the road. But like if I would have just said, nah, I would have been sitting there with twiddling my thumb still. So like sometimes you got to take the deal that's on the table. Whether it might be the best deal or not. And by one round pick, you're talking about 1 round possibly difference. A lot of times when you start talking about some of these draft picks that you're giving up, or you got to give up a second instead of a third. Okay. Cool. As long as we get that impact player. As long as we get that impact player and he comes out here and does what we expect him to do, the heck with it.
But if you have that second, you don't get that project player that might never develop for the Cowboys.
Yeah, exactly.
John throwing shots over here.
What? I say that out loud.
Don't you talk about Kelvin Joseph that way.
What are you
All
talking
right,
about?
We're going to take our first break. Yes.
Really quick, in talking about trades, I think this is really important to remember right now, especially, is the fact that the Cowboys are missing their fourth, fifth, and sixth round picks for next year. So they don't really have a ton of pieces to trade.
Fourth,
when it
fifth,
comes.
But like Seattle traded away a 24 and a 25.
Right, but it was like the 24 second and 25 fifth or whatever.
But I guess
if the Cowboys wanted to make that trade, then they get like 3 picks next year at this rate, and, before conditionals and stuff like that happen. But
they'll probably get just based on guessing.
What if they made a trade?
How many?
I think they'd get 2 conditional.
I'd like to see Isaiah's face if they made a trade today and it was trading away a player to
For
get
draft
picks.
picks.
Yeah.
How many? Yeah, I wouldn't push it back. How many of your draft picks are playing right now?
Say that again.
How many of your draft picks from 2023
This year
are playing right now?
I mean, none. Really. I mean, it's Schoonmaker and Smith, but they're rotation.
Their argument, though, would be that how many of their draft picks are on their roster, though? And I bet you they're in the upper echelon.
I hear you.
How many of your draft picks played last year?
Yeah.
That was the thing. You were spoiled last year with how many of your draft picks made a significant impact. One of them had a pick 6 on Sunday.
Hey, I get it. I hear you. I'm just saying. Sometimes you gotta trade away some future opportunities for now opportunities.
This franchise will never do that.
I get it.
Yeah.
It's a draft and develop franchise. That's how it goes, though. That's how it goes. I get where you're coming from, and I honestly agree with you. I do, but just gonna dust that off.
Yeah, they still look good.
Get it done.
Where's it at? There it is.
Yeah, that's right here. It's on the back.
Look at those fresh designs.
Stop it. You got to quit. All right. Give us a call, 888-855-2297. It is a Talkin' Tuesday. We're going to hit the phone lines when we come back. We have also got the text line rolling. Already a couple questions coming in, including the 254. This isn't a question, but he was referring to Jerry Jones. He just said, bless their hearts. That's it. For those youth basketball teams that Nick Harris is talking about. 817-290-3298 is the Cowboys podcast text line. And then the phone line, 888-855-2297. We're talking to the fans when we come back right after this.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Black Rifle Coffee Company serves premium coffee to people who love America. When you drink Black Rifle coffee, you are directly supporting veterans, law enforcement, and first responders in your community. Black Rifle's expert roasters love coffee almost as much as Texas loves football, so it makes sense that America's Coffee partnered with America's team. Go online at blackriflecoffee.com and fuel up with the official coffee of the Dallas Cowboys. That's blackriflecoffee.com to fuel up today.
Cowboys fans, after that move, we've just coined the term Rowdy Replay. Let's roll back the tape.
Okay, there's our mascot Rowdy cheering on the boys. And now he's on his phone, on his Bank of America mobile banking app?
Staying on top of his finances with his virtual financial assistant, Erica.
Bank of America's digital tools are so impressive. Cowboys fans just can't stop banking. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/can't-stop-banking.
Erica is only available in the English language. You must download the latest version of the mobile banking app, only available on select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. Member FDIC.
Welcome back into Dear Doctor, the show where I answer life's questions with an ice-cold can of Dr. Pepper. Sheila, let's hear from our next caller, would you?
Dear Doctor, my friend supported me during a tough time, but what's the right gift that says, thanks for being a shoulder to cry on?
Okay, this one's easy. I say give her a delicious Dr. Pepper. Nothing says, thanks, girl, better than a one-of-a-kind soda. Yes, any Dr. Pepper flavor will do. Now, just a reminder that I don't need to be a real doctor to know that Dr. Pepper is the one you deserve.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
This portion of Talking Cowboys is brought to you by Quaker Oats, a super trusted superfood. Quaker Oats, the official oatmeal sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Welcome back in. Talking Cowboys, presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company. John Machota, Nick Harris, Isaiah Standback. I'm Kyle Yeomans. We've got plenty to get to. Philly week here at the Star in Frisco. Trade deadline today. Cowboys offense clicking on all cylinders in their win against the Rams. And it's a Talking Tuesday. Cowboys phone line 888-855-2297. Give us a call. And I want to ask this question. 310 says, would you trade a guy or would you package a deal because of the lack of draft picks, based off of what Nick Harris was talking about a minute ago? Would you package a player currently on the roster? We don't have to say specific names. Package a player to make a deal possible.
Absolutely. You have a surplus of defensive linemen. Said it last year. You have the same guys plus more. A couple of them that you're not even using, really. That's where your equity's at.
Okay.
I think that would be the position group I would look at. I know I'm not saying this, but I've seen plenty on social media. People feel like, especially with the Viking situation, that potentially a team would come for a backup quarterback. But no, defensive line would be the one that stands out because it's certainly not linebacker. It's not corner, as we talked about. I would be very surprised if they gave up any of their safeties just because they use them in such a multiple roles. And on offense, are you trading an offensive lineman? No, you're not. So that's the area.
Sorry, I had Beam in my head. So
offensive line. Obviously, you're not trading offensive linemen because that's their biggest need. Is offensive line.
You can't do that.
So defensive line, and when I say that, I think very much of not trading Sam Williams, but I think of Sam Williams because of the fact of that. He would like to be on the field more. They're using him on special teams to get him on the field more. Obviously, his numbers aren't even on par with what they were last year, and that's because they feel comfortable with what they have right now in the defensive line because they're pretty loaded and have been able to stay relatively healthy. So, that would be the area, edge rusher type guy. But, again, I'm not saying Sam Williams. I'm just saying that he's a player that if they would have no problem getting on the field more if they traded somebody else away,
Yeah, I'm completely fine with it as well. If you have somebody, especially in a surplus of a position, we've been talking about it, I feel like, since April, the fact that they have a surplus of defensive linemen, go ahead and use one in a trade piece if you feel like you need to. But it would have to be the right deal, and it doesn't sound like the right deal's available. So,
got to find the right deal. Maybe Skip in Virginia has the right deal. Skip, you're on Talking Cowboys. What's going on?
Hey, man, how's everybody doing?
We are doing great. What's on your mind?
Kirk Cousins is going to be out for a year, and I've been hearing some rumors about they might be inquiring about either Cooper Rush or Trey Lance. I think yesterday on 105.3 they were saying about it. Would you give up a second round for Cooper Rush or a fifth round for Trey Lance or vice versa? I just want to know what you guys think.
So just as trade pieces, what would you want back in return for those guys? Is that what the question is?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. There you go. Skip in Virginia. Great question. Thank you for the call as always. I'll start with Nick on this one. Where do you feel like that would lie from a trade standpoint?
First off, I would probably not go forward with that trade, but secondly...
You would rather hold on to those guys?
Yeah.
I think I would too.
Yeah, because if Dak goes down and he's kind of shown that he's going to miss some time at times in the last few years, you need Cooper Rush. So as far as what you would want back, I don't think you necessarily need a second round for Cooper Rush. Maybe a third or fourth.
That's kind of, if somebody came
maybe a fourth
offering a second round pick, I would trade Cooper Rush for a second round pick right now.
Yeah,
I can't see anybody doing it. I would say a third round pick would have to be it for both of them, to be honest with you. Why would you get rid of Trey Lance when you just traded a fourth round pick for him? So
for anything
I would think that it would be somewhere in the third round. And when I think of that, especially like what Nick just said about Cooper Rush and how you could potentially need him in a big moment, I'm good with keeping him.
I don't see anybody calling for either one of those guys. Yeah, quarterbacks are just not guys that you just pick up and throw in the middle of season. especially when you're in a situation that the Vikings are in where they're trying to save their season. It's going to take a quarterback 4 weeks at least to even start catching any kind of flame, any kind of spark at all.
Yeah.
So Jaron Hall season in Minnesota?
That's what it looks like.
BYU quarterback.
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
Yeah. So, I mean, so to answer your question, though, Cooper Rush, nobody's offering a second-round pick for Cooper Rush. Nobody's offering a third for Cooper Rush. Trey Lance, again, to your point, you're not giving up Trey Lance for anything less than a third, and nobody's offering that. So,
yeah,
those guys aren't going anywhere.
I think so, too. I think it'd be hard-pressed to see a quarterback leave this room, and if it is, it's the right deal. It's what John talked about earlier. It's got to be like a perfect deal for either one of those guys to leave. Let's go to we're going across the pond this time. Marco in Italy. You're on Talkin Cowboys. What's going on, Marco?
Oui.
Good morning, guys. It's nice to be back with you.
Good to see you. Good to hear you, man.
Great to have you on.
Yeah, thank you. Kyle, Isaiah, you should check out your DM inbox on LinkedIn because I wrote you guys.
Okay.
On LinkedIn? I don't get on LinkedIn a whole lot. I'm gonna get on it right now, though. Oh, wow. I have way too many notifications.
Just start reading them out
No,
loud.
no, I'm not going to do that.
Thanks.
We'll get back to you, though. We definitely will.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Because I'm curious to know whether you made the trip to Italy, Kyle. You mentioned it some months ago, I believe. And, it would have been great if you made it to catch up. Anyway, just 3 questions for you that I have. I can see 3 reasons why a first-round choice is not a starter. He's injured, he's a quarterback, or he's the wrong pick. And so I'm puzzled about our first-round choice, why he's not a starter.
Okay.
Then if I couple this with the fact that the second-round choice doesn't look stellar either, what does it say about this last draft? And finally, what are, in your opinion, the chances of having Dan Quinn back again next year? Because to me, this is probably the most urgent reason to try to win this year, which relates to the trades that you've been talking about and all this stuff. I can't see any scenario in 2024 where Dan Quinn is not a head coach somewhere else. So these are, my questions. As always, great to catch up with you guys. Great talking to you. And, if we can catch up on LinkedIn or other, LinkedIn, that would be great as well. Have a great day. Keep doing your fantastic job. It's great to listen to you guys from afar. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much, Marco, for the support and 2 really, really solid questions. I will start with the Dan Quinn conversation because it goes into the desperation that Isaiah is speaking of if you're going to go for the thing, especially when you have a piece like Dan Quinn on your defense, running your defense, that may not always be there.
The biggest thing with Dan Quinn to me, and it's unfortunate for him, but he's a defensive coach. And you just look at the trends in the NFL, it seems like, I'm not saying always, you have Dan Campbell hires, you have ones that people don't necessarily are expecting, but it seems like most teams are looking for that next young offensive mind to be their head coach. And if what Dan Quinn has done for the Cowboys defense, I strongly feel like if he was on offense, he'd already be gone. Mm-hmm. And it's not his fault. That's the way that the league is. And it's not like doing it that way is just, that's how you get to a Super Bowl. You just go and hire the next young offensive mind. But look around the league. I mean, that's generally where it's going.
You don't think that is his choice that he's still here?
I think that's part of it too. Okay. But I think that it can get to a level where, I don't know what's being offered to him in those mm-hmm. interviews and stuff like that. And to take it back to the trade deadline, I think there's overpaying that goes on if it's the young offensive coach. And again, I'm not in those rooms. I don't know, but that's my belief because of what I see going on in the league. But I would be very surprised if he eventually doesn't get another shot to be a head coach. So, yeah, this very much could be, his last year as the DC because it could get an offer that, hey, it's just too good to pass up. I mean, he obviously likes working with this group. He's got a talented group. He has shown that he knows how to move the pieces around, and I really do think the pieces complement him as well as he complements them. It's a great group. But, hey, if you're a fan of the Dallas Cowboys, for the last couple of years, you've had to have these same concerns of, man, how long is this going to last? Eventually, he's going to get hired as a head coach somewhere.
Yeah, and there are rare exceptions to the wanting to hire the new offensive guy, right? Because you have D'Amico Ryans from last year. And what made him the exception? It was the fact that he had put together a solid defense over the course of 2, 3, 4 seasons. And when you look at what that rare exception could be this next offseason, what other DCs do you look at other than Dan Quinn?
Off the top of my head, I can't think of a lot of ones that jump out.
Which worries me. That worries me a little bit. So, it's a great point, Marco. I think
Isaiah said wee wee.
Yeah, Isaiah went wee wee. That's French. What are you doing?
I don't travel enough, Kyle.
Stop.
That just was funny when
he goes wee wee.
I didn't even catch that.
I looked at you, and then John was like,
I heard him say it, but I didn't even catch that. Like
I like it. I like it though.
This is what you got to do.
I haven't got over that. I know you're married into.
I was about to say I'm married into the Italian family, so I understand it.
The closest I get to Italy is
best food decision of my life. By the way,
we're not sponsored. Okay.
You said what? You're not sponsored. You're gonna bring up the OG. Yeah. Is that what that was?
But speaking in regards to DQ, I was surprised DQ came back last year. You struck fire twice now, right? You got lucky twice.
Got him back twice. Yeah. Does it happen a third time?
I don't know. If you missed twice on whack-a-mole, do you miss the third time?
Sometimes. Depends on how quick that whack-a-mole ducks out of the way.
I'm waiting on that little mole to poke his head out, and I'm whacking that thing. So I think you're rolling the dice if you don't make a big push this year.
Yeah.
I think you are banking too much on the brand if you don't take your chances and your risks. There's a lot of you go back in history. I just think they sometimes they lean on the star too much, and I think this might be an occasion where if you lean on it too much, you might get bit.
Something else that's kind of fascinating, and I don't think Dan Quinn would do this, but it's just fascinating that his name was brought up in this certain situation. Remember Tom Herman got fired from the University of Texas 3 years ago? Dan Quinn was one of 3 names that the University of Texas wanted to go after. So kind of interesting. I don't think he would ever go the college route, but that's also something to factor in.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
All right, let's take our second break. Appreciate the call, Marco and Skip. If you want to get in, we may have time for one more phone call, 888-855-2297. We also have some text we got to catch up on in just a moment with more Talkin' Cowboys.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag & Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag & Turf, the official Ag & Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
Are you ready to take coffee off your grocery list forever? Black Rifle Coffee Club is here to help. As a coffee club member, you'll get your favorite coffees roasted, packaged, and shipped to your door free of charge on your preferred schedule. Set it, forget it, and never run low on coffee again. Members also get exclusive deals on coffee, products, and discounts from partner brands. Ease your mind and let Black Rifle worry about your coffee supply. Go to blackriflecoffee.com to join the coffee club today.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Back here on Talking Cowboys, this segment is brought to you by Invisalign, the official smile of the Dallas Cowboys. Wrapping things up on a Talking Tuesday, 888-855-2297. Text messages 817-290-3298. Lupe from Cali says, does Sunday's win over the Rams squash the blue jersey curse belief? I don't think there's ever been a blue jersey curse. I think it's dumb. I think the blue jerseys look great. What do you think?
They squashed that last year at SoFi when they played the Rams. There's been a couple of instances. I love those blue jerseys.
They're
by the
sick.
Way. Yeah. So they get hate, and I feel like we talked about these with the all whites a couple weeks ago. There's not a bad jersey that this team has, in my opinion.
I'll tell you, the thing that surprised me the most is just how well that they've played at home, and this home winning streak. Just from my time covering the team is like kind of matched up pretty closely with since the stadium's open. I never went to Texas Stadium. I wasn't living down here then. And I've never felt like AT&T Stadium is like the greatest home field advantage. And for them to have done that, it's one of the best things that Mike McCarthy's done since he's become head coach. Because I really felt like you'd never have a genuine home field advantage at AT&T, just because it's not the raucous, like just super loud all the time. It can get that way, but just winning on Sunday was just a big one for me, because I'm just like, it's just noon game. Cowboys don't play a lot of noon games. It just was like one where I've seen them before just kind of ease into it, and then the opponent hangs in there, and then they lose that game. To win 11 in a row at home, I'm just bringing this up because I'm saying whatever you think your curses are. I know one that people had talked about was when they wore the throwback helmet that had the red stripe on it. Just wear it at
against
home.
Denver.
Wear it at home. I'll just put it to you this way. I just think that I have my questions about how I think that they'll play against the Eagles on Sunday at Philly. As long as they stay relatively healthy, I don't have many questions about how they will play against Philly at AT&T Stadium. They have legitimately built a good home field advantage over the last year or two, and I really didn't think that was going to happen.
Which is strange, because I feel like it's less about the crowd and more so about them just being loose and being able to show up in their own
routines,
car
whatever it is. Yeah.
I think it feels like it's more from that.
Sure.
What do you think about it? Did you ever think about that stuff?
Yeah, did you like playing more on the road or at home? Or did you not care?
I didn't care.
Didn't care either way.
No, I didn't care. At home is always fun because you got your people and they're turning up, but on the road, you get to make fans angry. So
yeah, that's true.
Texas Rangers,
especially at Philadelphia.
Have they been? Well, I'm trying to find that. You're always fat. Sorry, I had smoothies this morning.
Are you okay? Are you good?
We had a smoothie off this morning, so I went and bought a bunch of fruit. My kids had a smoothie making competition this morning.
How did that go?
It went good, but I have seeds in my throat now, so that's what I'm.
Yeah, his smoothie took a long time to make, I heard.
Yeah. Interesting.
You're the fun dad. There's no question about it. You're the fun dad.
The Eagles versus Cowboys over the years, do they usually split as of late?
No, there's been
a couple sweeps.
Cowboys have won 4 of the last 5 against Philly.
Yeah, Dak has won his last 3 starts against them.
He's like 8-3, isn't he?
Yeah.
And the Eagles specifically, or with the Eagles, oddly enough, Dak and Jalen Hurts have only gone head to head one time.
Interesting.
That's it. Because either one of the other has been sitting because of injury or late season scenarios. It's just kind of how it goes. So yeah. Kind of interesting. 4 of the last 5 have been won by the Cowboys, and only one time have Hurts and Dak actually played against each other. 845 says, excited and nervous about this Eagles game. Lots of anxiety. I feel like that's probably a lot of Cowboys Nation right now. Excited is a good word, but man, anxious is also a pretty darn good word too.
Yeah.
What?
Where do you think? I know we'll get into this. We got a week. Never mind.
Got a whole week?
Yeah, we got the rest.
What were you going to say? Let's tease it.
I was going to ask. Okay, where do you feel like Dallas has the advantage over Philly, and where do you think Philly has the advantage over Dallas?
Okay.
I think Philly has the best roster in the NFL, so I think that gives them the advantage in terms of like players on the field. For the Cowboys, I think their biggest advantage.
I'm talking about like aspects of the game, like that.
Oh, okay, sorry.
O-line, D-line, receivers, like.
I feel for the Cowboys, at least the advantages that they have, I feel like they can take advantage of that secondary. Even with Kevin Byard, I still feel like this receiving group can find success. Okay. And then also the Cowboys pass rush, I think it can get to this Philly offensive line. I think it can.
Bob in Nashville actually asked a similar question. He said, what is your biggest concern, Philly's run game or their passing game?
Yeah, that's yes.
Yes, both.
Defensive
Sounds
line.
good.
I'm going to go to the other side.
No,
Go to the
I-
other, complete opposite side.
That's the one I keep thinking about, just because of the Cowboys' offensive line. There just isn't that continuity there. You don't know what's going on with Tyron Smith. They haven't looked great all season, and there's some monsters up front. And then playing the Eagles playing at home. I mean, that's like literally a one aspect of the game that can just wreck the whole thing. You know, and where I look at Philly's offensive line versus the Cowboys' D line, the Cowboys will have some success, but I just look at Philly's offensive line of having a better chance of neutralizing it than the other way around. So
neutralize.
Yeah.
This is a great question, and it kind of goes along with both of the topics that we just talked about. Ashley in San Diego asked this, and she actually throws a stat in here too. The Cowboys have now won 11 straight at home. We just talked about that with John, averaging 5 points more than they do on the road, where they are 5-6 in the same time span. So on the road, 5-6. Cowboys have won the last 11 at home. After hearing all of Dak's audibles and checks on Sunday, I wonder if his ability to make changes at the line of scrimmage, read the defense, is an underrated part of the success and flow to an offense. Can you speak to the strategy to improve communication while on the road? Of course,
that's
going up this week against Philadelphia. You're going to need it.
Hey, that's probably one of the best. That's a great point on the home versus road thing. Communication had been an issue. It was something that was addressed in the offseason. It was
talked about a training camp.
Yeah, it was very high on their list of things that they needed to work on. One of the reasons why you are hearing a lot of stuff that you are hearing on TV, one of the reasons why there are all the jokes made about here we go, because that was all part of the communication had to get better. And obviously communication is going to be great at home. And
maybe not so much
crowd
on the
noise
road.
and all that stuff like that. And maybe that's why it becomes an issue on the road, is that there are some communication things, But, man, it was good to see the way everything looked and the way it clicked this last game. The pre-snap motions, everybody seemed to be on the same page. You would like to see that on the road, but this is going to be this is the toughest road environment the Cowboys play in.
Yeah, because Seattle and Detroit both come here.
Yeah.
Buffalo, Miami.
I feel like Buffalo December 17th really could be, just because when you factor in like the weather as well.
In December.
Yeah. But I see where you're going from. There's a case to be made there. There's a case to be made.
But it's Philadelphia in a rivalry game. They're comparable.
Yeah. Their fans absolutely hate the Cowboys. They'll be rolling from the very minute that game kicks off. Where,
even before
whether you're talking about the Lions
That's
or Bills, they'll be into it or whatever.
They're mad
but
the Phillies
not
aren't
on the
in
level,
the World Series.
Not on the level that the Eagles fans will be for this game.
Yeah.
So
congrats,
I think it's the
Go
toughest
Rangers.
road environment that they've played in since I've covered it. I can't even think of one that compares to it, even including Seattle.
Yeah.
I mean, Seattle's loud.
Don't say that to Isaiah.
Seattle's loud, but there isn't that type of
Put on for your city. Put on for your city. Go ahead.
That's-
Attack.
I don't know the last time Philadelphia had an earthquake because of the crowd, buddy.
I mean, Minnesota's had earthquakes too, but they go up to Minnesota like it's not even a problem. So I don't know.
I will say, Seattle does need the.
I'm telling you, check out
earthquake.
the decibel level on that catch that Stephon Diggs made.
Yeah,
Check that out. It's the loudest I've ever heard a stadium.
It didn't register though.
Well, maybe the tools that are being used to measure are slightly fraudulent. Like when they show on the big board, like get louder, and then the numbers are going up, and you're just like, it's the same as it was. What are we doing here?
Yeah, that's
no
so
one's getting
fake.
louder.
It's so
It's a
fake.
graphic.
Sorry to
guys.
ruin that
it's
for
all
everybody.
About production, okay?
Yeah, that is a graphic. I see that pregame.
I want to hit that a little bit later in the week. That's a really jerk. It's a really good
Little kids
question.
listening right now, like, hey.
It's like the Tooth Fairy.
Really good. Stop. You can't do that. You can't do that. The Tooth Fairy is very real, everybody, and so is Halloween. So, Ashley in San Diego with a great question. I want to ask that later in the week for Isaiah, as of course a quarterback. Communication on the road. How big of a factor is that going to be? We can talk about that coming up on Thursday with QB Vision. One final vote for the advantage for the Cowboys. Which unit they have the advantage? The 254 says special teams. I kind of agree.
I do too.
I think they've got it there.
I am interested to see Aubrey kick outside. Like in a big game.
Will he break the
something
record?
like-
He need one more.
I think he does. Yeah.
I think he'll get it now.
I'm
Get there,
curious.
45 miles per hour winds.
Yeah.
I thought about this like
Go
a couple
ahead.
days ago. It was like right after the game. I thought about this. I was like, okay, so they're probably going to play to him to get the record just to allow it. So what if they have like a 4th and 3 from like the 30 and they're like,
No,
There's
they're kicking
no
it.
let's just go for it.
No, they kick it.
Or what if it's on
I
like
mean, let's be
38?
honest. Look at that list of who is on there. It's not like
it's
not like this
great.
predicts if you're going to be Justin Tucker or not. You know?
Yeah, we're not going up against Adam Vinatieri.
Right.
If he kicks one more, he defeats Travis Coons as the current record holder.
I'd say that ball on Sunday did look like it'd be good from about 70.
It was booted. That thing was a bomb. All right.
Wow.
That does it for us. What was
the
it?
NFL record's 44
consecutive field goals. Adam
How
Vinatieri,
trade
right?
happened with that reaction.
And Adam Vinatieri. Huh? He was automatic.
Sorry, that was bad timing. That was bad timing.
We'll be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. Central Time. After the trade deadline, we'll break it down for you. Plus, we'll preview the Cowboys' defensive matchup against the upcoming Philadelphia Eagles. That's going to be a good one. We'll take a look around the National Football League as well. For Isaiah Stanback, John Machota, Nick Harris, Chris Beam in the back, I'm Kyle Yeoman saying so long from Talking Cowboys. We'll see you tomorrow.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!